Imagine being born in the middle of nowhere, naked, blind, and unable to defend yourself. Sounds like a nightmare, right? Well, welcome to the life of a newborn lion cub. Right now, hidden in a patch of tall grass, a tiny bundle of fur is taking its first breaths, completely unaware that it has just entered the world's most dangerous survival game. Mum is nearby, licking the little fur balls clean, looking both proud and extremely stressed. She has every reason to be. Her newborn cubs are not exactly prime warriors at this point. They're more like tiny, wiggling sausages with oversized paws. Absolutely useless in a fight. And fights? Oh, there are plenty of those coming. The savannah does not offer a peaceful maternity ward. No white walls, no nurses, and definitely no reassuring doctors telling her to push. Just endless golden grass, a blazing sun, and a whole lineup of creatures that would love to turn these babies into a midnight snack. Chief among them? Hyenas. And let's be honest, hyenas are nature's most dedicated villains. If the Lion King didn't convince you of that, watching a pack of them cackle while stealing food from a pride definitely would. Right now, a pair of beady eyes is watching from the shadows. A lone hyena. It sniffs the air, tilts its head, and takes a few hesitant steps forward. It knows something is up. Somewhere in this sea of grass, there's a fresh scent. Something vulnerable. The kind of meal that doesn't kick, doesn't run, and doesn't bite back. The ultimate hyena happy meal. But Mama Lion is not stupid. She hears the rustle before she even sees the shadow. Her ears flick back, and in an instant her relaxed motherly expression hardens into something, well, terrifying. The hyena stops. Oh, it recognizes that look. That's the come one step closer and I'll turn your spine into a chew toy look. And suddenly the little scavenger remembers it left the oven on at home and backs away into the night. Crisis averted. For now. The cubs, meanwhile, are completely oblivious to all of this. They continue their wiggly, blind journey across their mother's belly, searching for the milk bar. Their first meal is crucial. It's packed with all the nutrients and antibodies they need to get a decent head start in life. Not that they appreciate it. They just suckle away like tiny vacuum cleaners, bumping into each other and occasionally smacking each other in the face with their oversized paws. It's adorable, it's chaotic, and it's the beginning of a sibling rivalry that will probably last their entire lives. Night falls and the African savanna transforms. The golden landscape turns pitch black, and the silence is replaced with an eerie symphony of growls, roars, and distant howls. This is when the real danger begins. Mama Lion tucks her cubs close, wrapping her massive paws around them. She's not moving tonight. For now, her entire existence revolves around protecting these tiny creatures. Her stomach may be empty, but leaving them alone to hunt. That's a risk she's not willing to take. In the distance, a lion's roar rumbles across the plains, deep and powerful. It belongs to the pride's dominant male, the cub's father, though let's be honest, he's not exactly winning any Dad of the Year awards. Male lions operate on a pretty simple system. They rule, they roar, they fight off rivals, and they take over kills made by the lionesses. Raising the kids. Not exactly on their to-do list. If anything, this guy might not even recognize his own offspring. He's got more pressing concerns, like making sure no younger, stronger lion comes along and kicks him off his throne. Speaking of which, his roar is not just for fun. It's a warning, a declaration. It echoes for miles, telling every predator, every rival, and every potential challenger, this land is mine. This pride is mine. If you want it, come and take it. Back in the grass, the cubs twitch at the sound, their tiny ears flicking. It's the first of many times they will hear that roar. One day, if they're male, they'll have to roar just as loud. If they're female, they'll have to follow the rules of the pride and learn the art of hunting, raising cubs, and, let's be honest, dealing with the lazy males who take credit for all their hard work. As the night stretches on, the savannah remains restless. Jackals skitter past in the distance, sniffing for leftovers. An owl swoops down, snatching an unlucky rodent. The stars burn bright, unbothered by the chaos below. And somewhere, just beyond the safety of the mother's hiding spot, a pair of glowing eyes watches silently. Another lion, a nomadic male, waiting for the day he grows strong enough to challenge for a pride of his own. Morning arrives, and the cubs, now slightly stronger than yesterday, start making even more trouble. They attempt to crawl, only to collapse in a heap. One of them discovers its own tail and bites it, immediately regretting the decision. Another sneezes and startles itself. Watching them, it's hard to believe these tiny, clumsy creatures will one day be powerful hunters, capable of bringing down a buffalo 5 times their size. Right now? They can barely conquer their own feet. Mama Lion knows the clock is ticking. She can't stay in this hiding spot forever. The longer she stays, the higher the chances that hyenas, or worse, another lion, will find her cubs. Soon she'll have to make a move, relocate them, and rejoin the pride. But that's a problem for later. Right now she curls up beside them, her tail flicking lazily. The cubs nestle close, safe in the warmth of her fur. For the first time since they were born, she closes her eyes. Tomorrow, survival continues. But tonight they rest. The grass moves, but not from the wind. Tiny paws, still clumsy and weak, fumble through the dirt. Our little lion cub has made it through the night, though barely. He doesn't know it yet, but that was just the first of many, many close calls in his life. Somewhere above him, his mother is pacing, ears flicking in every direction. She hasn't slept. She won't, not for a while. Out here, a nap can be the difference between life and becoming a hyena's snack. And speaking of hyenas, oh, they're close. Too close. The cub doesn't know what a hyena is. He barely knows what his own paws are. He's just hungry. So he does what all baby lions do. He squeaks. A tiny, pathetic meow, barely loud enough to be heard over the wind. His mother freezes. She turns, eyes wide, and stares at the lump of fur making all that noise. Now let's get one thing straight. Lion mothers are loving, but they're also pragmatists. If a cub is too weak, too loud, or too unlucky, nature doesn't have time for sympathy. She knows that sound can mean death. Hyenas have big ears, and they don't mind waiting for breakfast to cry itself into their jaws. A rustle in the distance. The lioness flicks her tail. She knows she has two choices: stay here and fight if the hyenas come, or move the cubs. Moving is risky. Fighting is worse. She glances down at her tiny son, still squeaking for food. With a quick lick across his head, half love, half, "Please shut up before you get us all killed." She makes her decision. One by one, she picks up her cubs by the scruff of their necks, carrying them away from danger. If you've ever been dragged somewhere you didn't want to go, congratulations. You know exactly what it feels like to be a lion cub right now. He dangles helplessly in his mother's jaws, feet paddling the air, probably wondering why the ground suddenly disappeared. But she doesn't have time to be gentle. Hyenas are getting closer. Their laughter echoes through the grass, that weird mix of a giggle and a scream that sounds like a demon stubbed its toe. If they find her, they'll kill her cubs in seconds. And if she tries to fight them off, well, she might win, but might isn't good enough. She moves fast, slipping through the tall grass like a shadow. The cub swings back and forth, his tiny brain likely spinning in confusion. All he wanted was a snack. Now he's on an impromptu roller coaster ride across the savannah. Finally, she stops. A new hiding spot. Deeper in the bush, safer at least for now. She drops him down gently, gives him another lick, probably both to clean him and to apologize for the bumpy ride, and settles in. For now, they're safe. But this is only the beginning. The cub doesn't know it yet, but in just a few short weeks, he'll be introduced to the rest of the pride. And that's a whole new adventure. The sun is brutal today, the kind of heat that makes even the toughest animals reconsider their life choices. Somewhere in the middle of the African savannah, our little lion cub is experiencing something he's never felt before: freedom. For weeks, his entire world has been nothing but a patch of tall grass, his mother, and his equally clueless siblings. But today, something is different. Today, he's being allowed to step into the open. Now, before you start thinking this is some grand, beautiful moment of independence, let's be clear. He's about as steady as a drunk baby giraffe. His legs wobble, his tail does absolutely nothing to help with balance, and for some reason, his own paws keep tripping him. But despite all this, he stumbles forward, eyes wide with curiosity, and then he stops, because right in front of him is the pride. Up until now, he's only smelled them on his mother's fur. But now he sees them, and wow, they're big. The lionesses are lounging under an acacia tree, draped over each other like a pile of oversized house cats. Some are grooming, some are asleep, and one is staring directly at him with that, "Oh look, fresh chaos is arriving" kind of expression. But they're not the problem. The problem is him. A massive lion, scars across his face, mane thick and dark like a storm cloud. His tail flicks lazily, but his eyes are sharp. He sees everything, and right now he's staring straight at our cub. This is the king, the father, the big boss. And this is the moment that decides everything. See, male lions are complicated creatures. One moment they're gentle fathers, the next they're killing cubs that aren't theirs just to make sure their own bloodline survives. So this could go very badly. The cub, unaware that he's standing before a giant that could squish him in a single paw swipe, does what all baby lions do when they meet someone new. He marches right up and bites the guy's tail. Silence. The entire pride watches. Even the insects stop buzzing. The king slowly turns his head. His massive paw lifts just a little, and for a second it looks like our cub is about to get yeeted into next week. But then, whap! A paw lands on the cub's head. Not hard, just enough to boop him onto the ground. The little furball flops over, legs in the air, stunned. The king lets out a long, rumbling sigh, as if realizing that, once again, parenthood means dealing with a tiny, relentless ball of trouble. And then he yawns, flicks his tail out of reach, and goes back to sleep. The cub blinks. Did he just survive that? He scrambles back to his feet, completely unbothered by the fact that he was nearly turned into a pancake. His mother, who had been very ready to snatch him up and run, finally relaxes. The pride has accepted him. Well, sort of. The lionesses roll their eyes and go back to ignoring him. The older cubs look at him like he's a chew toy they might use later. And the king? He now knows this tiny gremlin exists, but has decided that dealing with him can wait. For now, the cub is safe, but soon he'll have to prove he belongs here. Because in a pride, survival isn't just about strength, it's about knowing your place. And our little troublemaker? Yeah, he's not great at that part. The cub is bigger now. Not big, but big enough that his mother no longer carries him around like a fuzzy handbag. He's clumsy. His paws are still too large for his body and his tail. It's a useless noodle that does absolutely nothing to help him balance. But today, none of that matters. Today is different. Today, he is about to witness his first hunt. Now, let's be honest. Up until this point, he's been living the spoiled life. His mother hunts, she brings back food, and he just shows up and starts munching like a guest at an all-you-can-eat buffet. He has no idea what it actually takes to bring down dinner. But that's about to change. The pride is on the move. It's late afternoon, the perfect time to start stalking prey. The cub follows, tail high, ears perked, walking like he thinks he's part of the hunting squad. Spoiler alert, he is not. The lioness is spread out, bodies low, eyes locked on a herd of gazelles in the distance. The cub, having zero concept of stealth, plops down right in the open, staring at the herd like he's watching live TV. He has questions. Why are they walking so slow? Why is everyone so quiet? And most importantly, why isn't anyone attacking yet? He's starving! They should just run over there and start biting things. One of the older lionesses gives him a look. That classic exhausted babysitter look that says, "If you do not shut up right now, I swear on all things holy." The cub, as usual, does not shut up. He opens his mouth to meow, probably to demand snacks, but his mother silences him with a single swipe of her paw. He flops into the dirt, stunned. Lesson number 1 of hunting, shut up. The hunt begins. The lead lioness inches forward, muscles coiled. The others follow, ghosts in the golden grass. The cub watches in awe. His mother is fast, faster than he's ever seen. He didn't know she could move like that. And then chaos, a burst of speed, dust flies. Gazelles scatter, hooves pounding the earth. The lionesses chase, calculating, shifting, cutting off escape routes like a team of expert strategists. One of them leaps. Claws sink in, teeth snap. It's over. The gazelle collapses, its body jerking for a moment before stilling. The cub's eyes are huge. That was awesome. And then comes his part. The lionesses don't eat right away. Instead, they step back, giving the cub a chance to approach. It's tradition. The young ones need to learn what to do. The cub hesitates. This is weird. The gazelle isn't moving, but it's still looking at him. Sort of. It doesn't blink. It smells strange. Not like food, not yet. His mother nudges him forward. Right. Okay. He's a lion. This is what lions do. Time to be ferocious. He takes a deep breath and smacks the gazelle on the nose. Nothing happens. He smacks it again. Still nothing. He glances back at his mother, confused. She flicks her tail impatiently. The cub sighs. He's trying, okay? He opens his mouth and bites down on the gazelle's leg. Instant regret. This thing tastes disgusting. Warm, hairy, not at all like the already dead meat he's used to. He spits out a mouthful of fur, gagging. The older cubs lose it. They're rolling in the dirt, laughing so hard they can't breathe. Even the lionesses look vaguely amused. His mother? Not amused. She steps forward, grabs the gazelle's neck in her jaws, and demonstrates how to actually kill something. A firm bite, a twist done. No hesitation. No comedy routine. The cub stares. That was kind of terrifying, but also Really cool. He tries again. This time he sinks his tiny teeth into the softest part he can find. It still tastes awful, but he ignores it. He bites down. The lionesses watch. This is a moment. Because today this little cub has learned something important. Food isn't just given, it's taken. And one day when he's big enough, he'll be the one taking it. But for now, he's still very bad at this. One of the older cubs knocks him over and steals his spot at the carcass. The lion cub is no longer a cub. His paws, once too big for his body, now carry him with confidence. His mane is beginning to grow, scruffy and awkward like a teenager's first attempt at a beard. He still isn't fully grown, but the change is coming. And with it, a harsh reality. His time in the pride is almost over. For male lions, childhood is temporary. The pride is ruled by a dominant male, and he only allows young males to stay until they're old enough to become a threat. That time has come. It starts with a snarl, a deep rumbling growl from the king himself. The young male freezes, ears flattening. He's been avoiding direct confrontation, but today avoidance won't work. The king is done tolerating him. The message is clear: leave or fight. He knows better than to fight. Not yet. The old male is bigger, stronger, more experienced. A challenge now would be suicide. So he runs. Banished from the pride, he walks into the unknown. The golden grass stretches for miles, and for the first time in his life, he is alone. No mother, no siblings, no guaranteed meals. Just him and the endless savannah. But he isn't alone for long. In the distance, another lion moves through the tall grass. Then another. He recognizes them instantly. His old playmates, brothers in exile. They too were cast out. They too have nowhere to go. Without a word, they fall into step beside him. The bond they formed in the pride still holds. They are no longer cubs, no longer members of a family, but together they are something else, a coalition. For young males, survival depends on numbers. Alone, they would be easy targets, but together they are a force in the making. They travel as one, hunting when they can, stealing when they must. The first few weeks are brutal. Hunting is harder than it looked when the lionesses did all the work. A zebra kick nearly shatters his ribs. A failed hunt leaves them starving for days. They stumble into another lion's territory and are chased for miles, running until their lungs burn. But they learn. They grow stronger. The young male, once the clumsy cub who tripped over his own paws, now moves with power. His mane thickens. His muscles harden. He no longer flees from challenges. He faces them. The coalition starts small, scavenging from kills, ambushing smaller prey. But hunger makes them bold. They test their strength against hyenas, driving them away from fresh meat. They practice hunting together, learning how to take down larger animals as a team. And then comes the real test. One evening, as the sun bleeds across the sky, they hear it, a roar. Deep, commanding, filled with confidence. It belongs to a male who rules a nearby pride. A king! The brothers exchange glances. They are still young, but they are not weak, and they are no longer afraid. The time for exile is over. It is time to take a kingdom of their own. The coalition was strong, but survival is unpredictable. A failed hunt, a brutal fight, a wrong move. Sometimes that's all it takes to break a brotherhood apart. One day they were a team. The next he was alone. For the first time since his exile, there are no allies beside him. No brothers to watch his back. The world is suddenly much bigger, much quieter, and much, much more dangerous. Lions are not meant to live alone. A single lion is vulnerable. No pride means no guaranteed meals, no backup in a fight, no safety. Everything he once relied on is gone. But hunger doesn't care. He hasn't eaten in days. His ribs press against his skin, and every step feels heavier than the last. The sun is brutal, the nights are worse. His once thick mane, a sign of power, is now a liability. It makes him overheat, makes him more visible. He needs food, and food means hunting. Hunting alone is nothing like hunting with a pride. There's no teamwork, no ambush, no distractions to confuse prey. It's all up to him. One mistake and he won't just stay hungry. He could get injured. And in the wild, an injury can mean death. He spots a herd of wildebeest in the distance. His stomach twists at the sight. This is it. The lion lowers himself, body tense. Step by step, he moves closer. His muscles coil, ready to explode into a sprint. But he isn't the only one watching. The wind shifts. A second scent drifts toward him. Hyenas. He turns his head, heart pounding. 5 of them watching from the shadows. Not attacking, not yet. But they know. They always know. Hyenas are patient. They don't waste energy if they don't have to. They wait for lions to hunt, then swoop in and steal the prize. It's their favorite trick. And right now, they are watching his every move. grinning, waiting to see if he succeeds, so they can take it. He has no choice. If he doesn't hunt, he starves. If he hunts and loses the kill, he still starves. But he doesn't hesitate. The lion bursts forward, muscles screaming, paws hammering the ground. The wildebeest panic. They scatter. He locks onto one. Young, slower than the rest. He pushes harder, gaining ground. Closer, closer. He leaps, claws extend, jaws snap, a sickening thud. The wildebeest kicks, hard. Pain explodes through his ribs. He crashes to the ground, gasping. The world spins. For a few seconds, he doesn't move. The herd thunders away, their hooves a fading drumbeat. And then laughter, not his. The hyenas. They step forward, circling. Their eyes shine with something cruel. He scrambles to his feet. His ribs ache, but he cannot show weakness. Not now. The hyenas test him. One lunges, just enough to see if he'll flinch. He doesn't. He roars, loud, powerful. It echoes across the plains, shaking the air. The hyenas hesitate. They exchange glances, then slowly they back away. Not because they are afraid of him now, but because they are patient. They know he's injured. They know he'll weaken. They can wait. He watches them disappear into the grass. His breathing is ragged, but he's still standing. Still fighting. He didn't win today, but he's still alive. And as long as he's alive, he still has a chance. Tomorrow he will hunt again. And next time he won't fail. The lone days are over. The scars have healed, the muscles have hardened, and the mane, once scruffy and patchy, now flows in full dark waves around his neck. He is no longer a young exile scraping by. He is a lion in his prime, powerful, confident, and with only one thing left to do. Take a kingdom. The scent reaches him first. It carries on the wind, strong, dominant, a warning to any wandering males. This land is owned. A king already rules here, but that king is old. The lion stops at the edge of the territory, eyes locked on the horizon. His ears flick at the distant sound of cubs playing, lionesses moving through the brush. A whole pride, thriving under the leadership of one male. A male who has likely held power for years. But power in the wild is not permanent. It must be taken. He roars. It's not just a roar, it's a declaration, a battle cry, a challenge. Silence follows, thick and tense. Then another roar answers. Deep, booming, but not as strong as it once was. The old king is coming. The two lions meet in the golden grass. One, a seasoned ruler, battle-worn but experienced. The other, younger, stronger, hungrier. They don't rush. Lions don't fight like reckless brawlers. They stare, circling, reading each other. The old king paces slowly, tail flicking, measuring his opponent. He has fought off challengers before. He knows what's at stake. The young lion waits, muscles twitching. He is ready, but not reckless. He won't be the first to strike. He waits for the perfect moment. And then the old king moves. It happens in a flash. A blur of golden fur, the crash of bodies colliding, the earth shaking under their weight. Claws sink into skin. Jaws snap. Tails whip violently through the air. The young lion takes a blow to the face. Pain flares through his eye, but he doesn't stop. He claws back, striking deep into the old king's shoulder. Blood stains the grass. The old king roars in fury and lunges again. He has ruled for years. He will not go down without a fight. His teeth find the young lion's neck, but the challenger twists, using his strength to break free. He counters, driving his weight forward, forcing the older male onto his back. This is the moment that decides everything. With one final crushing bite to the throat, the young lion ends it. The old king goes still. His reign is over. The battle is won, but the war is not. A war. The young lion stands, bloodied and panting. His victory must now be cemented. He turns his gaze toward the pride, where the lionesses have gathered watching. Some are indifferent. Some are wary. Others already understand. This is their new king. But there is one last brutal law of nature. The cubs. The young lion walks toward them, their mothers stepping back, eyes dark with sorrow. These cubs are not his. They are the bloodline of the king he just defeated. If they live, they are a threat to his rule. He hesitates. A moment of stillness. Then, instinct takes over. The pride will now be his. The lionesses will bear his cubs. The cycle begins again. Tomorrow, the sun will rise on a new king. The sun hangs low, burning the sky with streaks of orange and red. The new king of the Pride stretches his powerful body, his dark mane swaying slightly with the evening breeze. His wounds from the battle have healed, but the scars remain, reminders of the fight that won him this land. His pride moves around him, lionesses shifting in the grass, scanning the horizon. The cubs, now his, play under watchful eyes. But tonight, he isn't concerned with them. Tonight, he is thinking about one thing, his next meal. For days, the pride has been restless. The last successful hunt was days ago, and the hunger is starting to gnaw at them. The lionesses know it too. They move silently through the golden savanna, eyes sharp, muscles tensed, their bodies blending into the grass as they stalk their target. They are the real hunters of the pride, the ones who ensure survival, the ones who do the dirty work. The king? Well, he has a different role. He watches from a distance, lounging lazily under an acacia tree, pretending not to care. But his ears are twitching, following their movements. He has no intention of helping. Why waste energy when someone else can do the job for him? The hunt begins. The lionesses inch forward, their bodies low, their eyes locked on a herd of zebras grazing by the river. Every step is calculated, every muscle controlled. Then, without warning, they explode forward. The air is filled with dust, the ground shakes with pounding hooves. The chase is on. A zebra breaks away from the herd, sprinting for its life. But the lionesses are faster. They flank it, forcing it toward the riverbank. It makes one last desperate leap, but it's too late. One lioness lunges, claws outstretched, gripping the zebra's haunches. The others follow, dragging it down with precision and deadly efficiency. A final bite to the throat, and the struggle ends. The pride has won. But before the lionesses can even catch their breath, there's a deep, rumbling growl from behind them. The king is on the move. He strides toward them, his massive frame casting a long shadow over the fresh kill. The lionesses step back, frustration flickering in their eyes, but they know better than to argue. He does what all dominant males do, takes what he wants. He lowers his head, sinking his teeth into the warm flesh, tearing into the kill as if he had been the one who brought it down. Blood drips from his jaws, satisfaction in his eyes. The lionesses watch in silence, their sides still heaving from the chase. They don't complain, they don't challenge him. This is how it has always been. The lion may be the king, but his rule depends on their success. As he eats, a faint sound drifts through the air, a low, eerie cackle, then another. The lion freezes, his ears swiveling. The lionesses lift their heads, eyes darting toward the shadows. The hyenas have arrived. They emerge slowly, their grinning faces half lit by the fading sun. First 2, then 5, then 10. Their eyes gleam with mischief, their bodies tense with hunger. They weren't there for the hunt. They didn't risk their lives chasing prey. But now that the kill is made, they want their share. The lion stands, his tail flicking, a low growl rolling from his throat. The hyenas hesitate. They know better than to attack a full-grown male head-on. But they also know something else. Numbers matter. One hyena steps forward, testing the waters. The lion lets out a thunderous roar, lunging just enough to send it skittering back. The others watch carefully, calculating, waiting for the right moment. The lionesses aren't waiting. They've seen this game before. They know how it ends. Without a sound, they step away from the kill, melting into the grass. They did their part. They hunted, they killed. And now the king can fight for it. The hyenas grow bolder, inching closer, their laughter rising into the night. The lion stands firm, his massive body tense, but even he knows the truth. He can't fight them all. Not without backup, and tonight he is alone. One last snarl, one final warning, but the hyenas don't care. They rush in all at once, their teeth snapping, their bodies moving like a chaotic swarm. The lion swipes, sending one flying, but another sinks its teeth into his back. He roars in fury, thrashing, but there are too many. With a frustrated grunt, he makes his choice. He turns and walks away. Not in defeat, but in strategy. The hyenas can have this meal. There will always be another. He disappears into the night, leaving the scavengers to their stolen feast. Somewhere in the distance, the lionesses are already watching another herd. Tomorrow, the hunt will begin again. And next time, he'll make sure he gets the first bite. The sun barely begins its slow rise over the savannah, casting long shadows over the golden grass. The pride stirs, lionesses stretching, cubs rolling over each other in a mess of fur and oversized paws. It is a peaceful morning, until the wind shifts. The lionesses freeze, their ears twitch, their noses lift, their muscles tense like coiled springs. Something is coming, something dangerous. The new king is already awake. He stands apart from the pride, his mane ruffled from the night, his golden eyes scanning the horizon, and then he sees them. Intruders, a group of young nomadic males, lean but strong, their manes still growing but their hunger unmistakable. They have been watching from the distance, waiting for the right moment to strike. They know this land is ruled by a new male. They know he is still establishing his power. And they know what all lion challengers know. His rule is not solid until the cubs of the old king are gone. The lionesses exchange glances. They know what this means. The cubs they have nursed, protected, hidden away, these males have come to kill them. It is the way of lions. The new king already took the pride for himself, but as long as the cubs of his predecessor remain, his reign is not secure. If these males challenge him and win, their first act will be to wipe out every last one of the old king's offspring. The air is thick with tension. The nomads move closer, their tails twitching, their eyes fixed on the prize. But they hesitate. They are strong, but there is only one thing standing between them and the cubs: the lionesses. And they are not moving. The females form a wall around the young ones, their eyes blazing, their bodies tense. They know they are no match for a full-grown male in a fight, but this is their last stand. The king steps forward, a low growl rolling from his throat. He is alone, but he doesn't waver. He cannot afford to. His position as ruler is still fresh, untested. If he loses this fight, he loses everything: his land, his pride, his future. The largest of the nomads steps forward, his mane still thin but his confidence thick. He bares his teeth, roaring his challenge. The message is clear: fight or step down. The king doesn't step down. The charge is fast, brutal. Their bodies collide with the force of thunder, claws slashing, teeth snapping, roars shaking the air. The nomad is young, quick, desperate, but the king has experience. He has fought for his life before. He has taken down challengers, and he has no intention of losing now. They tear into each other, their roars turning into snarls, the grass beneath them flattened and soaked with sweat and blood. The other nomads watch closely, ready to step in if their brother wins. If he loses, they will flee. That is the law of the wild. The fight is merciless. A well-placed claw rips across the king's muzzle, blood dripping from his face. He responds with a bite to the nomad's neck, shaking him, his fangs sinking in. The challenger thrashes, gasping, trying to break free, but the king is relentless. He throws the young male to the ground and pins him, his fangs inches from his throat. The challenger stops moving. A long silence follows, heavy and final. The king stands over him, his breath ragged. The nomad twitches, then scrambles to his feet and bolts. The others don't hesitate. They turn and run, their ambitions crushed, their challenge failed. The king watches them disappear. He doesn't chase, he doesn't need to. They are beaten. His rule remains. The lionesses relax, just slightly. The cubs, still pressed against their mothers, blink wide-eyed, too young to understand that their lives had hung in the balance. They will never know how close they came to being wiped from existence. The king turns, walking back toward the pride, his body aching but victorious. He does not need thanks. He does not expect it. He fought for his own survival, for his right to rule. And in the savannah, that is the only law that matters. The night is quiet. The stars burn cold above the savannah, and the air is thick with tension. Somewhere in the darkness, a herd of antelope grazes, unaware that death is already watching. The lionesses move like ghosts through the tall grass. Their bodies are sleek, built for stealth, their eyes locked onto their target. There are no roars, no growls, no unnecessary movement. Unlike the males who love to announce their presence with thunderous roars and dramatic struts, lionesses know that silence is the key to survival. This is not a game. It is not sport. It is survival, and they cannot afford mistakes. The herd shifts uneasily. A few antelope lift their heads, ears twitching. Something feels off. The lionesses freeze. They do not panic. They do not flinch. They become part of the land itself, blending into the golden waves of grass. The antelope hesitate, scanning the darkness, then slowly return to feeding. That was their first mistake. The leader of the hunt, an older lioness with battle scars across her shoulders, inches forward. Every movement is calculated, her paws pressing softly against the earth, careful not to snap a twig or rustle a leaf. The others follow her lead, spreading out in perfect formation, each taking their position. This is strategy. This is patience. A younger lioness, new to the hunt, shifts too quickly. A stone rolls under her paw. The sound is small, barely more than a whisper, but in the dead silence of the night, it might as well be a shout. The herd stiffens. A wave of tension ripples through them. They know something is wrong. Their instincts scream at them to run. The leader of the lionesses sees this. She makes a choice. No more waiting. It's now or never. With a burst of power, she launches forward. The others follow in an explosion of muscle and speed, their bodies cutting through the night like missiles. The herd erupts in panic, hooves slamming against the earth, the air filled with the chaos of survival. The lionesses don't waste time on the fastest. They know better. They target the weak, the slow, the ones who fall behind. A young antelope, legs flailing, stumbles just slightly, and that is enough. The older lioness reaches it first. A perfectly timed leap, claws outstretched, her weight slamming into its side. The animal collapses with a strangled cry. It fights, legs kicking, but the others are already there. One lioness latches onto its throat, another grips its back legs. The struggle is short, a final sharp bite, and the savannah falls silent once more. The kill is done, but there is no time for celebration. The lionesses catch their breath, their sides heaving, but their ears stay alert. They know the rules of the wild. The smell of blood is an invitation. Scavengers will come, thieves will come, and if they are not careful, they will lose everything they just fought for. They must eat quickly. They drag the carcass into the shadows away from open land. They do not roar. They do not call the male. He will come eventually, as he always does, to take his share. But for now, the night belongs to them. This is their domain, their hunt, their kill. And tonight, they will not let anyone steal it. The savannah is vast, a never-ending sea of golden grass stretching beneath the burning African sun. It is a kingdom, ruled by the strong, shaped by battles, and dictated by the unbreakable laws of survival. But not all kings die in battle. Some fade away, their bodies failing them before their spirits do. This is the story of a lion at the end of his reign. He was once mighty. His mane, now thin and ragged, was once thick and dark, a sign of his power. His roar, now weak and raspy, once shook the ground, a declaration of his rule. His body, scarred and frail, was once a machine of muscle and dominance. Time has taken everything from him. His pride is gone, stolen by younger, stronger males. His lionesses have moved on, carrying the cubs of his conquerors. The land he fought for, bled for, killed for, no longer his. He wanders alone. There is no place for an old lion in a world where strength is survival. The pride does not remember him, the savannah does not mourn him. He is nothing more than a ghost, a shadow of the warrior he once was. His once powerful legs ache with every step, his ribs pressing through his skin, his tail dragging behind him like a forgotten relic. Hunting is no longer an option. His body cannot match the speed of antelope, nor the power to bring them down. He relies on scavenging now, stealing scraps from hyenas, sneaking bites from abandoned carcasses. But even that is becoming difficult. The younger males, the ones who rule now, chase him off whenever he gets too close. He is no longer feared. He is barely tolerated. Thirst burns his throat, but he cannot go to the watering hole. That land belongs to the strong, and he is not strong anymore. The other lions will not allow him near. The hyenas watch him with their mocking grins, not attacking yet, but waiting. They know what is coming. They can smell it on him. Days pass. His strength fades. His legs tremble under the weight of his own body. The hunger is unbearable, the thirst worse. He collapses under the shade of a lone acacia tree, its gnarled branches stretching toward the sky like skeletal fingers. This is where he will stay. He knows it. The savannah does not offer second chances. Not to the old, not to the weak. The night is colder than usual. The wind howls across the plains, and the stars shimmer above like distant, indifferent gods. He tries to lift his head, but even that is too much now. He breathes, slow and steady, his body sinking deeper into the earth. The sounds of the night surround him. Crickets, the distant whooping of hyenas, the soft rustle of grass in the wind. He listens, but he does not move. The hyenas come before dawn. They have waited long enough. They move cautiously at first, sniffing, testing. He does not react. There is no fight left in him. He watches them approach, his golden eyes still burning with something, not fear, not anger, but a quiet acceptance. He does not run. He does not snarl. He simply watches. The first bite is sharp, a final insult from the creatures he once ruled over. More follow. The savannah does not allow the dead to rest for long. Nature wastes nothing. By midday there is nothing left but bones, scattered beneath the acacia tree. The wind whistles through them, a soft, eerie melody. His story ends here, unmarked, unremembered. And yet the cycle does not stop. Somewhere in the distance, a new lion cub takes his first steps. A young male, strong and fearless, begins his journey toward dominance. The savannah does not mourn its fallen kings. It only waits for the next one. The night is alive with whispers. A warm wind sweeps across the savannah, rustling the tall grass, carrying with it the distant howls of hyenas and the occasional deep, guttural roar of a lion in the far distance. But here, just beyond the edge of a quiet village, another predator moves silently through the darkness. The lioness steps forward, her body low, every muscle coiled and tense. The moon casts a soft silver glow over the landscape, but she remains a shadow, blending seamlessly with the night. She is not hunting for sport. This is not like chasing zebras across the plains or ambushing a wildebeest at the watering hole. This is something different, something much riskier. She is hunting cattle. Lions do not normally seek out humans or their livestock, but hunger makes them bold. The past few weeks have been brutal. The rains have not come, and the prey has scattered. Wildebeest and antelope have moved on to greener lands, leaving behind nothing but dust and dry earth. The pride is starving. The cubs are weak, their cries growing softer with each passing night. The lionesses know that waiting for better days is not an option. The village is quiet. The only sounds the occasional bleating of a restless cow and the distant crackle of a dying fire. The humans are asleep in their huts, unaware that the wild is creeping closer to their world. The lioness pauses, ears twitching. She listens. She waits. The scent of livestock is thick in the air, and just ahead she sees them. Several cows penned together inside a makeshift wooden enclosure. Her instincts tell her this is dangerous. She knows what humans can do. She has seen lions from other prides wounded by their weapons, their powerful bodies brought down not by tooth or claw, but by something loud and unnatural. But desperation drowns out her caution. She moves forward, slow and deliberate, her paws making no sound against the dry earth. Her golden eyes flicker as she studies the enclosure. The fence is flimsy, made from uneven wooden posts bound together with rope. Not like the thick thorn barriers that some villages use to keep predators out. This fence is weak. A soft grunt escapes her throat, barely more than a breath. Behind her, two more lionesses appear, slipping through the shadows. They too are thin, their ribs visible beneath their tawny coats. This is not a reckless attack. It is coordinated, a silent agreement among hunters who have no other choice. The lead lioness presses against the fence, testing it with her weight. The wood creaks. The cows shift uneasily, their large eyes reflecting the moonlight, sensing something isn't right. One of them lets out a low, nervous moan. The lioness freezes. She waits. Nothing happens. With a final push, the fence gives way. Chaos erupts. The cows panic, kicking and bellowing, their bodies slamming into one another in a frenzy of fear. The lionesses leap forward, fangs flashing, claws digging into flesh. A cow stumbles, its hooves slipping on the dry ground, and in an instant, a lioness is on its back, jaws closing around its thick neck. The village stirs. A dog barks wildly and then another. A door creaks open. A voice shouts in the darkness. The lionesses hear it, but they do not stop. They cannot stop. A gunshot rings through the night. The lionesses flinch, their ears flattening against their skulls. Another shot follows, then the bright flash of firelight. The humans are awake now and they are coming. The lead lioness growls, a sharp, urgent command to the others. They must go now. The kill is heavy, but they cannot afford to leave empty-handed. Together, they dig their claws into the fallen cow and begin dragging it toward the tree line. Another shot. Dust kicks up near their feet. They do not run. They do not panic. They move swiftly, their muscles burning with effort. Another minute, maybe two, and they will be gone, swallowed by the night once more. And then silence. The humans stop chasing. They know better than to follow too far into the darkness. This is not their world. The lionesses disappear into the wilderness, their stolen prize still warm beneath their paws. It is a dangerous game they play, this dance between hunger and survival. They have won tonight, but they know that humans do not forget. And next time they may not be so lucky. The golden savanna stretches endlessly, bathed in the fading light of dusk. A warm breeze rustles the dry grass, whispering secrets of the battles fought here before. The lion stands alone on a small rise, his silhouette bold against the darkening sky. He has ruled this land for years, his roar the sound of authority, his scent marking every inch of the territory he claimed. But time has caught up to him. And tonight, the past comes knocking in the form of 3 young challengers. They have been watching him for weeks, testing the boundaries, marking over his scent, waiting for the moment his strength would falter. And now they step forward as one, lean and powerful, their manes still filling out but their confidence unwavering. They do not roar, they do not rush. They know he sees them, knows why they are here. This is not just about land. This is about legacy, power and survival. The old king understands this well. He once stood where they are now, young, hungry and merciless. His body is not what it once was. The scars of past battles stretch across his frame, each one a story, a reminder of his triumphs. His muscles, still thick, no longer hold the same energy. His roars, once shaking the very air, now carry a hoarse edge, but there is no hesitation in his eyes. He may be old, but he is still a king, and if tonight is his last, he will not fall quietly. The first challenger moves, testing him, darting in with a quick swipe before retreating just as fast. It is a game, one the young males play well, trying to wear him down before a true fight begins. The old king does not take the bait. He stands firm, eyes locked on them, reading every movement. He knows their tactics. He has used them himself. A second challenger lunges, but this time the king responds. With a burst of power, he slams into the younger male, claws digging deep into flesh. The roar that follows is deafening, a reminder to the world that he is not finished yet. The young male stumbles, shaken, but before the king can press the advantage, the third challenger attacks. Teeth sink into his hind leg, sharp pain ripping through him as he struggles to shake free. The world narrows to nothing but snarls, fur and flashing claws. The battle is brutal, dust rising in clouds as bodies collide with bone-crushing force. The young males fight with speed, working together, relentless in their assault. The old king fights with experience, each move calculated, each strike precise. But the numbers are against him. Blood stains the earth, fresh wounds opening across his body. He roars again, but it is no longer a roar of dominance, it is one of defiance. He refuses to surrender. He refuses to run. His vision blurs, his breath comes in ragged gasps. But he stands, shoulders squared, facing them still. Then the moment comes. One of the young males clamps his jaws around the king's throat. The others pile on, dragging him down. His legs buckle, the weight too much, and for the first time in years he falls. The battle is over. The young males step back, their chests heaving, their eyes bright with the thrill of victory. They do not finish him. They do not need to. His reign has ended. The pride will see. The lionesses will know. The king has fallen, and a new era has begun. The old lion lifts his head, his body trembling. He watches them go, his kingdom no longer his. The stars begin to emerge above him, cold and distant. He exhales slowly, his body sinking into the cool earth. This is where his story ends. Not in exile, not in surrender, but in battle as a king should. And somewhere, far away, another young lion is taking his first steps. The cycle continues. The savannah is calm, bathed in the soft glow of the morning sun. The air is thick with the scent of dry earth and distant rain, but beneath the golden grass, something else lingers. Hunger. It has been days since the last successful kill, and the pride is growing restless. The cubs are whining, their bellies empty, the lionesses thinner than they should be. The time to hunt is now. The lead lioness flicks her tail, signaling the others. Instinct takes over as they spread out, forming a deadly formation. Their golden bodies vanish into the tall grass, moving in perfect harmony. They are silent, their eyes locked on a small herd of zebras grazing near the edge of a dried-up riverbed. This is a good target. The herd is distracted, the younger zebras still inexperienced. If they strike quickly, they can take one down before the alarm spreads. Everything is going perfectly until it isn't. The lionesses inch closer, their paws pressing lightly against the dirt. The lead lioness picks her target, a young zebra at the edge of the herd, slightly slower than the others. She can almost feel the success, the weight of fresh meat between her teeth. But then, out of nowhere, the youngest lioness missteps. A small rock shifts under her paw, sending it tumbling. The sound is quiet, barely a whisper against the wind. but to a herd of prey animals always on alert, it is deafening. The zebra's heads snap up. Their ears twitch. A heartbeat of silence, then chaos erupts. The lead lioness knows hesitation means failure. She launches forward, roaring, hoping to catch them before they fully escape. The others follow, the plan unraveling, turning from a careful ambush into a reckless chase. The zebras bolt, their powerful legs kicking up clouds of dust as they flee. The lionesses push harder, their lungs burning, their legs straining to keep up. The young zebra, the original target, stumbles. Its hooves scrape against the dry earth as it struggles to correct itself. This is their chance. One lioness lunges, claws outstretched, locking onto its flank. The zebra lets out a high-pitched cry, thrashing violently, its back legs kicking wildly in every direction. Then it happens. A brutal, bone-shattering kick connects with the lioness's skull. A sickening crack echoes through the air, louder than the pounding of hooves. She is flung backward, her body crumpling into the dirt. For a moment, she does not move. The pride freezes. The lead lioness hesitates, torn between the hunt and her fallen sister. The zebra herd is gone now, vanished into the dust, the hunt a complete disaster. But that no longer matters. The wounded lioness is still on the ground. The rest of the pride rushes to her side, their eyes wide with worry. She is breathing, but her head lolls unnaturally, her body twitching. A zebra's kick is no small injury. It can crack ribs, break jaws, even kill. And this wound, it is bad. The lead lioness nudges her gently, trying to rouse her. The injured lioness blinks slowly but does not move. The others exchange looks. This is not a wound she can walk off. If she cannot move, she cannot hunt. If she cannot hunt, she cannot eat. And if she cannot eat, a heavy silence falls over the pride. This is the cruelest truth of the wild. There is no mercy, no second chances. They cannot afford to carry her, to feed her while she recovers. The pride must move on. The lead lioness lingers a moment longer, rubbing her head gently against her injured sister's neck, a silent farewell. Then one by one they turn and walk away. The wounded lioness watches them go, her breathing slow, her body weak. She does not cry out. She does not beg. She understands. She is alone now, and the scavengers are already watching. The air is thick with tension, heavier than the dry heat of the savannah. It is that time again, the season when instincts override reason, when even the mightiest lions throw caution to the wind. Mating season has arrived, and with it chaos. The king of the pride lifts his head, his dark mane tousled by the breeze. His golden eyes scan the lionesses resting under the shade, their sleek bodies stretched out in the afternoon sun. But one in particular has his attention. She is in heat, her scent unmistakable, a silent announcement to every male within miles. And he is not the only one who has noticed. A rival male, a lone nomad, has been lingering at the edges of the territory for days. Younger, leaner, just as hungry for dominance as the king was in his prime. He does not yet dare to challenge for the pride, but he is here for something else, an opportunity. And that opportunity now stands just a few feet away, shifting her tail, teasing, watching both males with careful eyes. The king rises to his feet, muscles rippling beneath his golden fur. He lets out a low growl, a warning meant for both his rival and the female. The message is clear: she is mine. But nature is not polite, nor does it care for ownership. The female flicks her tail again, moving just enough to test his patience. She is in control here, at least for now. The rival male takes a step forward. It is bold, almost foolish, but he is not just here to watch. His body tenses, his ears flick back, his own growl rolling deep from his throat. He does not want to fight, not yet. He only wants a chance, a moment alone with the lioness, a chance to pass on his bloodline. The king knows what is coming. He has fought for everything, his pride, his land, his legacy. He will not let it slip away. With a sudden roar that shakes the air, he charges. The rival reacts just in time, lunging to meet him in a violent clash of muscle and fury. Dust erupts around them as they collide, claws raking across thick manes, jaws snapping dangerously close to throats. This is not just about the female anymore. This is about dominance, about proving who is worthy of ruling. The lioness watches with calm indifference, as if she has seen this all before. And she has. The fights always happen, the blood always spills, and the winner, well, that is who she will choose. She has no loyalty to either male. Nature does not care for emotions, only strength. The battle is quick but brutal. The king is older, wiser, but the rival is fast, fueled by ambition and desperation. He lands a hard blow across the king's muzzle, sending him stumbling, but experience wins over recklessness. The king recovers, surging forward with a final bone-rattling strike that knocks the younger male onto his back. Panting, bleeding, the rival does not rise. He knows the fight is over. He scrambles to his feet and flees, disappearing into the grasslands, his dreams of conquest shattered. For now. The king watches him go, his chest heaving. Victory is his, but the pain in his body is a reminder that challenges will never stop coming. One day, a stronger male will take everything from him, but not today. He turns back to the lioness, triumphant. She flicks her tail once more, unimpressed. And then, just as quickly as the chaos began, she walks away, leaving him standing there, confused and slightly wounded in both pride and body. Mating season is a battle, but winning the fight doesn't always mean winning the prize. The savannah is the kingdom of lions, a vast stretch of golden grasslands, dotted with acacia trees and ruled by those strong enough to claim it. But not all lions live here. Some are forced into places where no lion was meant to survive, places where the rules of the wild are rewritten. Far from the open plains, beyond the comfortable territories where food is abundant, there are lions that hunt in forests, navigate deserts, and even stalk prey along the edges of rivers where danger lurks beneath the water. These lions do not have the luxury of pride life. They do not roar across the savannah, announcing their rule. They move in silence, in shadows, surviving where most would perish. The desert lions of Namibia are among the most remarkable. Their home is nothing like the fertile hunting grounds of the Serengeti. Here, the sun is merciless, the land a barren wasteland of sand dunes and rocky outcrops. Prey is scarce, water is a luxury, and survival is a battle fought every single day. These lions have adapted in ways that their savanna relatives never needed to. They travel miles upon miles to find food, hunting whatever they can. Oryx, ostriches, even scavenging on dead seals washed up along the coast. Their bodies are leaner, their movements more calculated, their endurance unmatched. Then there are the lions of the Gir forest in India, the last of the Asiatic lions. Unlike their African cousins, they do not roam open grasslands. They live in dense, tangled forests, where visibility is low and hunting requires patience beyond measure. These lions have learned to ambush, to wait in silence, striking down deer and wild boar in swift, efficient kills. Unlike the sprawling prides of Africa, Gir lions form smaller, tighter family groups, their bonds more intimate, their battles more personal. They have been pushed to the brink of extinction before, hunted down until only a few dozen remained. But they survived, and now their numbers grow, a testament to their resilience. And then there are the swamp lions, those who have adapted to life in the Okavango Delta, where the rules of the wild shift with the floodwaters. Here, lions are not just hunters of land, they are forced to become something more. They wade through water, swimming when necessary, chasing buffalo through knee-deep marshes, facing dangers their savanna cousins would never dream of. Crocodiles lurk beneath the surface. Hippos claim their territory with brutal force, and yet these lions persist, adapting in ways no one thought possible. For the lions who live on the edge, survival is not guaranteed. It is not easy. But nature does not favor comfort. It favors those who can endure, those who can evolve. The lions who walk the deserts, the forests, the swamps, they are proof that even the king of beasts must bow to the changing world. And yet, whether in the scorching heat of the desert, the dense shadows of the forest, or the flooded plains of the delta, they remain what they have always been. Hunters, survivors, rulers of their own domain. The night is thick with heat, the air heavy with the scent of dry earth and distant rain. The pride rests beneath the shade of a low acacia tree, bellies full from a hard-earned kill. The remains of a buffalo carcass lie nearby, picked nearly clean, a feast that had satisfied the hungry cubs and even the ever-demanding king. For now, all is peaceful, but the savannah never stays peaceful for long. The first sound is faint, a distant eerie giggle floating through the darkness, then another, then a chorus. The lionesses lift their heads, ears flicking. The king opens one amber eye but does not rise. He has heard this sound before.
They all have. The hyenas are coming.
Lions and hyenas have been locked in an ancient war, a never-ending battle for dominance. Hyenas do not hunt in the same way lions do. They do not rely on stealth or a perfect ambush. They rely on numbers, on persistence, on a willingness to wait for the right moment to strike. And now, as the moon rises higher, they have found their moment. The first shadow moves between the trees, then another, then another. Eyes gleam in the darkness, yellow and soulless. There are more than 10, maybe 20. Too many. The lionesses shift uneasily. They have fought hyenas before, driven them off plenty of times, but something about tonight feels different. The laughter rises in pitch, echoing across the plains, spreading in all directions. It is a tactic, a mind game. They want the lions to know they are surrounded. The king rises at last, his muscles rippling beneath his thick mane. He steps forward, head high, tail flicking with irritation. A warning growl rumbles in his chest, deep and thunderous. The hyenas do not care. They creep closer, their movements coordinated, their mouths curled in their ever-present grins. They know something the lions do not. They know revenge is coming. The lionesses stand, forming a defensive wall in front of the cubs. But the hyenas are not after the young tonight. They have a different target. One of the lionesses recognizes the leader of the hyena clan, a massive battle-scarred female with cold eyes and a jagged ear. This is not a random raid. This is personal. Weeks ago, the lions had stolen a kill from this clan, a full-grown wildebeest taken with brutal efficiency. The hyenas had been forced to watch as their hard-earned meal was ripped apart by the pride, too outnumbered to fight back. But tonight, the balance has shifted. With a shrieking cry, the hyena matriarch gives the order. The pack explodes forward. The king roars, launching into the first wave, his claws slashing through fur and muscle. A hyena yelps and tumbles back, blood splattering against the grass. Another leaps at him from behind, jaws snapping, teeth aiming for his hind legs. He whirls just in time to knock it away. But there are too many. The lionesses fight with everything they have. Claws flash, teeth sink into flesh, tails whip violently through the air. The hyenas do not fight fair. They attack from all angles, darting in and out, wearing the lions down. One lioness is dragged to the ground, pinned beneath 3 hyenas, their jaws clamped onto her legs. She roars in fury, thrashing wildly, but the pressure is unbearable. The king sees this. He knows they cannot win. Not tonight. With a final deafening roar, he makes the call. Retreat. The pride moves fast, breaking away from the chaos, leaping over fallen bodies, dodging snapping jaws. The king is the last to leave, his golden eyes flashing with rage. This is not a defeat he will forget. The hyenas do not chase. They do not need to. The lions have fled. The battlefield belongs to them now. They turn to the abandoned carcass, the last scraps of meat, the bones, the victory. It is not much, but it is enough. And in the law of the wild, revenge does not have to be swift. It only has to be final. The savannah is dry, cracked, and unforgiving under the relentless African sun. The rivers, once flowing with life, have begun to shrink, leaving behind muddy banks and desperate animals searching for water. The pride lingers near the last remaining pools, waiting for the rains to return. But hunger does not wait. The herds have moved on, searching for greener pastures, leaving the lions behind with little to hunt. The buffalo, zebras, and wildebeest that once roamed freely are now just dust in the wind. The lionesses, the expert hunters, have returned empty-pawed too many times. The cubs grow restless. The king grows impatient. Then the scent comes, faint, carried by the wind but unmistakable. Meat. The lions lift their heads, noses twitching. Across the river, hidden in the lush greenery on the other side, a herd of antelope grazes peacefully. Fresh, healthy, unaware of the predators watching from the other bank. It is a perfect hunting opportunity, except for one problem, the river. It is deep, wide, and treacherous, swollen from the last rainstorm. The current is strong, pulling debris along its murky depths. And worse, it is home to them. Crocodiles, massive, ancient, armored beasts lurking just beneath the surface, waiting for anything foolish enough to enter their domain. Even lions, kings of the land, know better than to challenge the kings of the water. The lionesses hesitate. They scan the river, eyes sharp, calculating. There may be a way around, but it would take hours. And by then, the antelope will be gone. The decision is clear. The hunt is impossible. But the young male, barely past his exile, does not see it that way. He is not like the others. He has spent months alone, surviving through sheer will, forced to take risks no pride lion ever would. He has chased prey through thorny brush, stolen kills from leopards, and now he sees a challenge. A stupid challenge. The others watch as he steps forward, tail flicking, eyes locked on the herd across the water. The king snarls, a low warning, but the young male ignores it. He knows he must prove himself. He is not yet fully respected, not yet a leader. But if he is the one to cross this river, to bring back the kill, the pride will remember. And so he steps into the water. At first it is just a few cautious steps, the mud swallowing his paws. Then deeper, the water clings to his fur, dragging at him, soaking into his thick mane. He does not stop. The pride watches in stunned silence. No lion does this. This is madness. Then a ripple. Something shifts beneath the surface. A slow, monstrous movement. Barely noticeable against the rushing current. The young male does not see it. But the lionesses do. Their ears flatten, eyes wide. The crocodile moves like a shadow, gliding effortlessly through the water, closing the distance with terrifying patience. The young lion presses forward, fighting against the pull of the river, his eyes still locked on the other side. The land is so close. Just a little further. Then chaos. The water erupts. Jaws snap. The crocodile lunges from beneath the surface, its massive teeth aiming for the lion's legs. But he is faster. With an instinctive leap, he twists mid-air, his body contorting just enough to avoid the deadly bite. The crocodile crashes back into the river, its momentum wasted. But it is not done. It turns sharply, ready for another attack. The young lion has no choice now. He must reach the other side. He lunges forward, claws scraping against the muddy bank, hauling himself onto land just as the crocodile's jaws snap shut behind him. For a moment he does not move. His chest rises and falls in rapid breaths, his heart slamming against his ribs. He turns back, watching the crocodile slip back beneath the surface, defeated but not gone. The pride is still watching. They have seen it all. The impossible. He has done what no lion dares to do. And now he must make the hunt worth it. With a shake of his soaked mane, he stalks forward, his eyes now fixed on the antelope ahead. The river may have let him live, but the savannah is still waiting to see if he is worthy of survival. The sun sets in a blaze of orange and red, casting long shadows over the savannah. The night belongs to the hunters now, to those who own the darkness, who rule not with sight but with sound. And tonight the king has something to say. He stands atop a rocky outcrop, his golden mane rippling in the warm wind, his muscles tense with power. This land is his, these lionesses are his, and every creature within miles will know it before the night is over. He lifts his head, inhales deeply, and then he roars. The sound erupts from his chest, a deep, primal explosion that rattles the very earth beneath him. It travels far, rolling over the plains, bouncing off cliffs, stretching for miles beyond where even his eyes can see. The zebras flinch, the wildebeest pause mid-graze, the hyenas slink lower to the ground. Even the elephants, massive and unmoved by most things, acknowledge the message. This is not just noise, this is a declaration, a warning, a challenge. The pride listens, their eyes locked on him, their chests swelling with something beyond fear, pride, belonging, reverence. The cubs, still too young to understand fully, stare up at their father, their tiny ears twitching at the vibrations still lingering in the air. One day, one of them will take his place, will stand here as he does now, will let the world know they are king. But not today. Tonight, he is still the ruler. The night moves on, the pride settling in. But in the distance, a different kind of movement stirs. A lone lion, young, lean, his mane just starting to darken, listens to the echo of the roar fading into the wind. He stands at the edge of his own future, his body covered in scars from battles fought, from exile endured. He knows what that sound means. The king is strong. The king is alive, but time is always moving. The young male steps forward, his paws pressing into unfamiliar ground. He is not here to fight, not yet. He is here to learn, to listen, to wait. Because one day that roar will not come. One day the land will fall silent. And when it does, there will be a new roar, a new king, a new cycle beginning. The savannah does not care for individuals. It does not mourn those lost, nor does it fear those yet to rise. It simply turns, over and over, as it always has. And as the night swallows the land, somewhere in the tall grass, a newborn cub opens its eyes for the first time. It blinks, squeaks, and stretches its tiny paws into the great unknown. It does not know what it is yet. It does not know that the world is waiting, that its story has only just begun. But the cycle continues, and the lion's roar will never truly fade.